President and founder of Grow Jackson, Jacob Inosencio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good
Thanks
to
for
see you.
having me.
I was doing a little research this morning about food insecurity in the United States, and it's staggering. The numbers: 38 million, 12 million of which are children. And during the pandemic, over 10% of the United States at some point felt food insecure.
Absolutely.
Huge problem.
Huge problem. And unfortunately getting worse. You know, we've had for a long time in this country poverty trending in the right direction, going down, the COVID pandemic making it go up. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people, I actually spoke with a group this week, and there were people who were just for the first time thinking about food insecurity. And the thing about food insecurity is that, historically we've always thought about hunger as people who are hungry are those who, look like they are financially struggling, or the people who appear to be homeless, when in all actuality, a lot of people who are food insecure are our neighbors. Mm-hmm. They're employed, right? Totally going against that notion that people who are poor are just lazy and don't want to work. They're students. Mm-hmm. College food insecurity comes in around 30 or 40%, depending on the university or college you're at. There's students at our local public schools who eat most of their meals at school, and then that weekend is the longest time where they're going to go without the nutrition. And not only is it a lack of access to calories, it's also a lack of access to healthy and nutritious food. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we're meeting people's caloric needs, but it's too much trans fat, it's too much sodium, it's too many grams of sugar, and not enough protein, not enough vegetables, good fats, the things that we know lead to improved academic and health outcomes for so many people.
Yeah. Some of the affordable things, the most affordable things at stores are garbage, essentially.
Yeah, or the things that are close to us, right? The corner store, the party store, the Dollar General certainly serve their place in the economy for a quick, I gotta pick this up. But if they're the main place you're grocery shopping, you're unable to financially, usually get to the things that you need to get out of those stores. Because if you can afford a car, you're probably gonna drive to Meijer and spend the money there. And if you have to walk to the grocery store, or you choose to walk to the grocery store, your options are just certainly much more limited at a Family Dollar or the party store.
And we used to have grocery stores on every corner.
Absolutely.
Before Meijer, there were, and I think Polly's at one time had like 10 different stores all throughout, but they were smaller, they were neighborhood, people would walk to them. Those days, obviously.
That's where you get your fresh produce and veggies.
Yep.
But, so you're taking this up. You're taking this up on your own. Talk a little bit about what you guys have done to kind of help combat the food insecurity.
For sure. Well, the city first is trying to bring the incentives to get a grocery store back in the community in a more walkable space. So I really want to commend them for that, because that is something that we definitely need. Right, Grow Jackson, I believe, does great work. About 6 months out of the year, we try to have fresh fruits and vegetables available to people. And we always are rescuing food from grocery stores instead of it going into the landfill, because of supply chain reasons. We rescue it and we move it to people. But I do want to commend the city, because that's a conversation that people have had through multiple mayors and multiple city councils. And everyone from grassroots organizers all the way up to state leaders recognize the need for that. So I think we're trending in the right direction there. And what we do at Grow Jackson is the work that other nonprofits have done before and are still doing. We got started specifically to be a community garden nonprofit. But one thing that I really want us to do a better job of talking about is not only are we here to promote and support our own community gardens, we're here to support the community gardens that already exist. People say to me frequently, "Oh, you brought community gardening to Jackson." And actually, community gardening was already here. It happens a ton on the south side, actually. Young People of Purpose, run by Diane Washington, has been doing it for a couple of decades, as has Together We Can Make a Difference with Wendy White. And they're both fantastic community leaders who already were doing gardening. We got started to expand the gardening and to support them. In a couple of years, I think Wendy has mentioned that she might not want to run a garden on her own. That would be the kind of thing where then we're running the garden and she's just able to support, because we want to be that vessel for the continuity and the support and the expansion of the gardens, so that if a church wants to start a garden or a school wants to start a garden, we can come in and say, here's what we can do to provide support, and that kind of week to week or month to month maintenance.
It's good work.
Yeah, it's really, I really believe that everybody should have a garden. During World War II, everybody had a victory garden, and almost half the food that we consumed in this country we grew out of necessity. And certainly we've trended away from that. And I don't think we'll get back to half
Right.
of our calories anytime soon. But I really believe in the magic of gardening, not only for food security, but also for community development, right? Young kids come in and they get excited about putting a seed in the ground, and a couple of days later, seeing a plant grow, learning about pollination. We had a great moment at the King Center last summer where we're speaking about pollination with a group, and a kid walks up to a cucumber and said, "Oh, look, the bee's doing that thing you were just talking about," right? It's so much more impactful to talk about soil health, to talk about photosynthesis, to talk about water needs, to talk about nutrition, right? There's different avenues that we can speak about educational concepts in the garden, but when you're right there hands-on, as we know. So we really believe in it, not only for the health benefits, not only for the food security, but just as a community resource. People love to come in and they talk about, oh, when I was younger, 60 years ago, I was helping my grandpa in the garden, or reclaiming the concept of agriculture. Unfortunately, in minority communities, agriculture does not always rarely comes with a positive association. Obviously, the genocide and Holocaust of slavery and agriculture and that concept with the Black community, and then the Bracero program and the migrant farming programs to this day are not always humane for our migrant workers in the Hispanic community. And Black and brown and BIPOC people have always been stewards of the land. And for people to be able to come to the garden and have positive association with the stewardship of the soil, the stewardship of the environment, is really powerful, I think, for community wellness and community healing.
Your garden at the King Center got started last week, right?
We started planting last week. We had a volunteer event, and then I've been out there with Rise Above students. We're really excited about that because Rise Above's doing a garden where I work in partnership with Vista Grand Villa. And so those students have been helping in the Grote Jackson Gardens and also the Rise Above Garden.
How have your gardening skills improved over the last few years?
They're always improving.
Yeah.
My background is in botany and forestry, so gardening for me is definitely something that's new. I've worked on farms, I've gardened, but I'm nowhere near a master gardener. So I mentioned Diane and Wendy. They're great gardeners. I learn from them frequently.
Yeah.
And I get advice from all kinds of people, and that's the beauty of the community. People come in and they say, well, if you harvested your collards after it frosted, they would taste better. Or if you tried this, or if you looked at this. Or people really love having the opportunity to come share knowledge. And that's what I think it's all about.
Yeah.
People say, oh, you know so much about gardening. And really, I believe in it, but I'm always learning.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to share with everyone else is we're learning together. Come share your skills and let's share what we know and lift the whole community up in the process.
Yeah, there's a lot of homeowners that have their own gardens. Share your talents with Grote Jackson if you'd like to get involved.
Absolutely. We're always looking for volunteers. Whether or not you have gardening expertise, you can sign up to volunteer at growjackson.org and bring your knowledge or come learn. We have a lot of people say, oh, my 5 or 6 year old wants a garden, but I don't want to take that on. Bring them to the garden every week. We'd love to be their garden and have them learn and have them have their own plants and things like that. That's what it's there for.
It's cool.
If deer didn't like gardens so much, it'd be a lot easier.
That's
That
true.
is true, isn't
Keeps
it?
That is true. We try to say we grow enough for the community and for the deer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And being, a relatively short growing season in this northern climate, does it make it harder to I guess, further your mission? You mentioned to do the 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
There's 6 more months.
We would like to, in subsequent years, add hoop houses, working on a project to get a greenhouse for year round. And that would allow us to do seedlings and starts for the whole community. We'd also be able to do conversations around growing in, we're in zone 6 here, doing year-round growing with solar tech and solar panels and things of that nature. Lots of different conversations can be had. It's just a matter of our size and our capacity. We never want to grow too fast, bite off more than we can chew, and then come up short. So in subsequent years, we'd love to have hoop houses. We'd love to have more going on so that we can start growing earlier, grow later, and eventually I would like us to be growing greens year-round.
Awesome. Where can people find the garden right now?
Absolutely. So growjackson.org has all of our information. Follow Grow Jackson on Facebook and Instagram. That's where you're going to see all of our upcoming gardening events and everything you need to know about getting involved, donating, volunteering, and then accessing the fresh food when it's available.
Awesome. Jacob, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks you so much for having me.
Jacob Inosencio, president of Grote Jackson. We'll be right back after